Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Chloe Feng. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Confirmation of an implosion ends 5 days of suspense over a missing submersible. In Hong Kong, the government gets tough with travel cheese on the city's public transport system. And Cathay Pacific is poised to fly into the black for the first half of this year. A deep sea search that kept the world on tenterhooks has ended with confirmation that 5 men inside a submersible were killed in a catastrophic implosion. They were on their way to the wreck of the Titanic when disaster struck in the North Atlantic. Azam Khan reports.
There's been a tragic end to 5 frantic days of a multinational search across more than 20,000 square kilometers of ocean in the North Atlantic to locate the Titan, a submersible carrying 5 people.
This morning, an ROV, or remote operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tail cone of the Titan submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the seafloor. The ROV subsequently found additional debris. The debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber.
The victims were British tycoon Hamish Harding, Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood, his 19-year-old son Suleiman, the diving company's chief executive Stockton Rush, and renowned French explorer Paul-Henri Nargeolet. A friend and former colleague praised 77-year-old Nargeolet.
Seeing how he worked, seeing how professional he was, seeing how much he was respected, seeing how confident he was, seeing how cool-headed he was. He was just consummate professional, and aside from that, just very humble individual too.
The 5 men embarked on an adventure dive on Sunday to explore the Titanic shipwreck. It should have been a 2-hour dive. However, their vessel lost contact about an hour and 45 minutes in, prompting a massive search and rescue race against the clock. The odds were slim from the onset, but people across the world held their breath as the drama unfolded. While their families grieved, the Pentagon and the U.S. Coast Guard are salvaging the debris from the seafloor, about 480 meters from the Titanic shipwreck off the coast of Newfoundland. It's now emerged that the U.S. Navy had heard an implosion sound on Sunday, but search efforts continued because it wasn't definitive. Azam Khan, HKIBC.
Travel cheese have been warned that their time is up and they could face arrest. Inspectors will carry out checks every day to ensure that ineligible people do not use concessionary Octopus Cars. Macy Mock reports.
The government is cracking down on those who pay only $2 on public transport by using concessionary Octopus cards meant for the elderly and the disabled. From Monday, inspectors will fan out across the city to monitor bus, minibus, and ferry passengers. Each 3-member team will comprise a transport department employee, a transport operator staff member, who can be identified by the uniform or name tag, and a security guard. Those suspected of cheating will be asked to produce their identity cards and provide information about their Octopus and JoyU cards. The Deputy Transport Commissioner said in the past, abusers were allowed to go after paying the full fare. But in the coming months, they might be prosecuted.
We would at least conduct this kind of enforcement action for 2 months. And we would do this enforcement nearly every day. And we would have to review the effectiveness of this enforcement action before deciding the next wave of action. We would like to make sure that people who are not eligible for the scheme will not use these Octopus Cars to enjoy the scheme.
The MTR Corporation has already stepped up inspections. The railway's operations chief, Sheris Lee, warned that anyone caught cheating from Sunday will be fined $1,000 instead of $500. Fines for the light rail and MTR buses will be raised from $290 to $370. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
Cathay Pacific Airways predicts that it will return to profitability for the first half of this year. The optimism comes as patronage in May soared to its highest so far this year.
Buoyed by an increase in flights and rising demand after Hong Kong's borders reopened, Cathay Pacific expects to deliver a consolidated profit for the first half of 2023, the first in 3 years. Hong Kong's flag carrier lost $5 billion in the first half of last year when the fifth COVID wave, which was the deadliest, stifled operations. This year's positive forecast comes after the airline flew over 1.4 million passengers last month, 23 times than in May last year. In the first 5 months of this year, the number of passengers shot up by nearly 33 times from last year. Demand picked up over the Buddha's birthday holiday, with travel to Japan and Thailand being particularly popular. Transit traffic via Hong Kong from the mainland was also encouraging. But passenger numbers are still roughly only half of pre-COVID levels. Meanwhile, Cathay's cargo services jumped almost 19% from a year earlier. But demand is expected to slow down in summer until the end of September, while competition is likely to intensify. Another bonus contributing to the estimated half-year profitability is the $1.9 billion one-off gain from the sale of its stake in Air China, reducing its share by almost 2% to 16.3%. Cathay will report its earnings in August.
A man accused of beating his girlfriend to death with a stick was ordered to remain in custody when he appeared in Tunmen Magistracy today. Ka-sing is charged with murdering the 30-year-old woman in her flat at the Gloire Garden in Yuen Long. 2 men and 1 woman who lived in the same flat also appeared in court, charged with preventing the lawful burial of a body. Their bail was extended. All 4 suspects were not required to enter a plea, and the case was adjourned to September to allow the prosecutor to seek legal advice. Overseas, Washington has rolled out the red carpet for Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is using his state visit to the United States to push for strong economic and defense ties. He signed lucrative deals, addressed the Congress, and was the guest of honor at the White House. Sachin Kadvi reports.
U.S. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill welcomed Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the White House for a state dinner. The list of 400 guests read like a who's who in the world of politics, business, and the Indian diaspora. Also present was Biden's son Hunter, who's expected to plead guilty under a plea agreement to 2 federal charges of failing to pay his taxes. Despite their differences on human rights and Modi's stance on the war in Ukraine, President Biden toasted India-US ties. India has not condemned the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Toast to our partnership, to our people, to the possibilities that lie ahead, to 2 great friends, 2 great nations, and 2 great powers. Cheers.
Both the United States and India are concerned about China's growing clout. Washington hopes New Delhi can be a counterweight to Beijing. Earlier in the day, Modi addressed a joint session of the US Congress.
The dark clouds of coercion and confrontation are casting their shadow in the Indo-Pacific. The stability of the region has become one of the central concerns of our partnership. We share a vision of a free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific, a region where all nations, small and large, are free and fearless in their choices.
Modi and Biden announced a series of defense and commercial deals designed to improve military and economic ties between their nations. The Indian leader also invited American corporations to invest in his country. Sachin Katvi, HKIBC.
Biden, meanwhile, played down the impact of a remark in which he alluded that President Xi Jinping is a dictator. This followed a strong protest from the Chinese embassy in Washington.
We had an incident that caused some confusion, you might say. But Secretary Blinken had a great trip to China. I expect to be meeting with President Xi sometime in the future, in the near term, and I don't think it's had any real consequence.
The president's controversial statement came just days after Blinken met Xi in Beijing. There are concerns that the comments could undermine progress made by the top U.S. diplomat on his fence-mending visit. The Hong Kong stock market has extended its losses to a fourth day as investor sentiment soured over global rate hikes. The Hang Seng Index plunged 1.7% today and 5.7% for the week. It was the biggest weekly loss in 3 months. The Hang Seng Tech Index slid 2%, with electric car manufacturers being the most affected. XPeng Motors was down 9%, while NIO lost 6.6%. Fierce market competition hammered BYD Company, which dropped 3.2%. And now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index closed down 328 points. Top 10 active stocks: Tencent down $3.40, Alibaba down 65 cents, and AIA down $2.10. Tracker Fan lost 33 cents and JD.com lost $2.50. HSBC down $1.55. Forex trading against Hong Kong dollar, the euro is at 8.52, British pound at 9.96, and Australian dollar at 5.23. Moving on to the UK market, the London FTSE is currently down 33 points. Interest rates in Britain have risen to a fresh 15-year high as the Bank of England continued to battle stubborn inflation.
Well, I understand the difficulty and the pain it causes for many people, and I do understand that. What I would say, though, is that if we don't get inflation back down to target, then it goes on for much longer, and the pain goes on for longer, and none of us want that.
The half a percentage point rise pushes rates in Britain to 5%. Higher borrowing costs have raised fears of a recession and hit on the property market. And onto the weather now. Cloudy with some showers and few thunderstorms. Temperatures will range between 27 and 31 degrees. Expect more clouds and showers on Sunday apart from some sunny intervals. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. And that is our main news for Friday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Chloe Feng. Thanks for watching. Good night.